So in honor of me quitting my job at Victoria's Secret in like a week, I think next Saturday is going to be my last day, I thought that I would make a video talking about the things I've witnessed or the things I've learned, or just some of my experiences, I guess, working at Victoria's Secret and how instrumental it's been to developing my feminist outlook of the world, and like how interesting it's been, I guess, to be, sorry, I'm like sniffling, to be a woman who like has this feminist criticism of the world, has this feminist analysis, and then you're kind of like working in this like male fantasy and this like very female dominated space all the time. Like how interesting that's been to navigate. Honestly, this can be like 1900 different videos. I'm just gonna kind of like riff for a little bit here, but I remember one time, one of my coworkers, I like went to a birthday party first, and I met one of her friends at this birthday party, and she was telling me how she had worked at the Victoria's Secret location that I worked at and that her friend worked at sometime prior. I forget how long it had been. But she said that she had only worked at this VS location for one day. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, girl, what happened? Like, how did you only last at this job for a day? She was like, girl, I'm not a VS girl. Like, I'm just not a VS girl. And I'm sitting there and I'm having this like out-of-body experience, because I'm like, well, I mean, I work at VS, so I'm a VS girl. And at this point, I don't know how long, like I said, I worked there now. This is my 9th month working at Victoria's Secret. I don't know how long I've been at that point, but I've been there for like a good amount of time. It was this year. It was in May, I think. And so I was like, I've been there for a good amount of time. And so I'm sitting there thinking like, well, I must be a VS girl if I've managed to last at this job, and specifically last longer than a day than you did. So like, what is a VS girl? And I can kind of see that in that moment, she was like trying to figure out how to explain it without being offensive. Because obviously she's sitting there talking to someone who does work there and someone who like has this job. But she was like, you know, it's just that like, working at VS, like you kind of have to be like really materialistic and like very like hyper feminine and just like super peppy, and you know, like I can kind of see her trying to find these adjectives, and I realized like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I'm like sniffling. Oh my god, like you completely describe me. Like I have been working at Victoria's Secret, and every time I go there, and it's natural that when you go to a job and especially if you're doing something that's like customer service related, that you kind of like assume a bit of a different personality once you enter there. But I was realizing, like, what is the different person that I become when I'm working at VS? A lot of the personality that I adopt once I enter that store has to do with, like, becoming super feminine and becoming super supportive of the women that come in, right? Because the interesting thing about VS is that it's a female-dominated space. It's mostly women who work there. I have, like, one male coworker. It is mostly women who shop there. It's groups of girls that are coming in. Very much female-dominated. However, it is entirely based upon a male fantasy. It is entirely based upon how men think about women, how men desire women. And if you look at the posters that we have on the wall, if you look at the type of stuff that we're selling, and I'm not saying lingerie is inherently male gazy. I'm not saying that by any means. But when we're talking about women who you can only, which is changing a little bit now with I think some of the cancellation that VS has experienced. But when you're looking at the walls and all you're seeing is double zeros, right? We can have a whole other conversation about men's influence on women's bodies, how they're always telling us that we need to shrink, that we need to take up less space, that we need to submit to them, and how submitting to them is about always being at war with ourselves and demonstrating our submission to men through our adherence to shrinking, our obsession with being small, and how that plays a role, I guess, in the glamorization of women being as tiny as humanly possible. That whole thing, that can definitely be 19 other videos, plays a role, right? In why are we only putting women on the wall who are super tiny, when that's not reflective of at all of like the average woman that's shopping at VS, or the average woman in America in general. So there's it's this male fantasy. So like selling to women in this place that is so male dominated, but it's only women around. Like it's weird. It's this weird mental space that you end up occupying. It's a very sensitive place, because what you're doing when you're at VS is you're selling desirability. You're selling these things that are supposed to make women feel more desirable to more than, and obviously this is generally speaking, I'm a lesbian, I work at VS, like I'm not buying anything there for a man, right? So I'm not sitting here saying that every single woman that comes into VS is doing it for a man or doing it because of, like, please don't try and like generalize everything I'm saying, or like, I don't know, do the whole like what about situation. We're gonna speak generally, so please generalize what I'm saying, actually. Obviously, you know, if women are coming in and they're buying these certain products, you know, for their boyfriend or for whatever, even if it's like not a situation like that, just broadly speaking, us selling, because I know like a lot of our like lingerie tops or like little corset tops, like girls will just wear out, right? Like we're selling desirability, we're selling beauty, which is what virtually every store is doing. when you're doing that, you're kind of dealing with women's really sensitive feelings surrounding their body and surrounding their feelings about how capable they are of being a desirable woman, you know? So I'm having conversations with women who are freshly postpartum, whose bodies have changed, who are worried about whether or not they can wear these items, whether or not they're going to look good in these items because of the fact that they don't look like how they did a couple of months ago. I'm having conversations with women who are just freshly post-op from a boob job. And they're changing feelings about their bodies now. I'm having women in the fitting rooms who are crying because the items that they're trying on don't look like how they used to. You know, you get a lot of aging women who came in who maybe when they were younger were a certain size and can wear a certain thing and it fit a certain way, and they felt like they had like this like understanding of their body and how it looked for a very long time. And then now they're a little bit older and their skin's a little bit saggier and their body has just changed. And they're kind of having to like reckon with that for the first time. And you get couples that are coming in, which I'll kind of go into that a little bit later. But these couples coming in, I was like helping a customer the other day, and it was like the woman was so like visibly uncomfortable, and it was like very clear that she didn't really want to be there. But she's there with her boyfriend, who was buying some fun items for her, and he was having obviously a jolly time wanting to talk to all the women that work there. And so you're kind of watching her make this calculation of, this is her man, and I'm assuming that she loves him, and she, wants to be able to have this experience with him, but there's something very exposing about all of this that feels really uncomfortable. But I think that this understanding of, like, really wanting to be able to hold space and kind of leaning, as an employee, kind of, like, really leaning into the very, like, soft, kind, agreeable parts of you really comes out when you're dealing with younger girls who are coming in. Often, I'm sizing girls for the first bra. When working at VS, they come in. I've shared this story a million times, but it's so representative of what it's like to work at VS. It was a daughter. I had a mom come up to me saying, "Can you size my daughter for her bra? She hasn't gotten sized before. Her chest is growing. I can tell the bras that I've been buying for her aren't working. So like, can you size her for a new one?" And I'm like, "Okay, cool, great. This is something I do all the time." The daughter comes in. I'm talking to the mother. I don't know where the daughter is. The daughter is hidden. She went and like literally hid herself somewhere in a different room. We're in the first room. The walls are black. There's like kind of mood lighting around. The first room is also where we carry our Very Sexy collection. I always tell men like, "Oh, do you want to shop from Very Sexy?" And they're thinking that I'm saying that it's Very Sexy. And I'm like, no, it's literally just called Very Sexy. But it's where we keep our Very Sexy collection. So it's a lot of like lingerie. It's not like your normal day-to-day bras for the most part. But it's a very dark, sultry, hyper feminine, mature room, right? Which you can imagine if you're 13 and your body is changing and you have no idea what's going on, and perhaps you're receiving a different kind of attention from men. All of this is very scary and weird. And now you're in this like very feminine, very sexual, very like this room where you're like seeing women on the walls and the way that they're dressed and the way that they're posed, and you're like, okay, these are the kind of women we put on the walls. Are women who are okay with having this sort of attention. I need to find that within myself, I guess, to be okay with that sort of attention. Like I remember that being a big calculation for myself when I was around that age, and like realizing like, okay, like being hot is really important. I need to figure out how to be hot and how to be okay with that and how to receive people's attention and be okay with it. Beside the point. The daughter wasn't there. The daughter was kind of hiding somewhere. And so I said, she wants the sizing, I do the sizing. She goes, kind of grabs her daughter from whatever corner she was hiding in. The daughter is carrying like a Pokemon store bag. We have a Pokemon store at my mom. And it became very apparent, like this girl, this mother probably could only coax her daughter out of the house to tell her to go to the Pokemon store. That's probably what she actually likes. This is someone who might have been like late elementary school, early middle school, but just had this body that was like developing very fast. And so it's very clear, that's what she wanted. And then she's kind of getting dragged into the store that's very adult and weird. And I'm trying to be really nice to her. What's your name? What brought you in? How are you feeling? Oh my God, what did you get from the Pokemon store? Did you go to the food court? I don't even know. Just gonna try to find something to be agreeable and nice and try and make this like not a weird process. So I'm like helping her out, and I do the sizing. I tell her the size, and she was a D cup. And the mom has a really weird reaction to finding out that her daughter is a D cup. Such a peculiar reaction. She was like, "There's no way." She's like taking a step back. "There's no way." And I'm like, what is going on? She's like, "There's no way that she's a D cup." She looks at me, she says, "I'm not even a D cup. I don't know what you think this has to do with you, but I'm measuring your daughter." And she said, "There's no way that she's a D." She's looking at her like, "How did you get so big. How did you get this chest? Where did this even come from? You know, because in her mind, she's like, well, I'm not a D, so like, how could I have created a daughter that's a D? And she's like, that's crazy. Like, how did you get to have such a big chest? And it's kind of being very transparent about her jealousy for her daughter in that moment. And her daughter is so uncomfortable. She already doesn't want to be here. The mother has me do the sizing all over again. I do the sizing again, forced into it, right? And I go and I, you know, I'm asking the daughter her favorite color and whatever, and I'm trying to find a bra that feels, you know, approachable. Over on our pink side, our side that's like for younger girls, we have more, it's a little bit more juvenile, but it's supposed to be approachable. So, you know, we have bras that have like flowers on them and have rainbows, and we have like underwear that's like popsicles on it. Every time I'm holding it, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But, you know, I'm trying to find stuff that feels not so scary for her. And I give her that, and then it's also crazy, like, the amount of young girls that come in that, like, are getting a bra for the first time, and they're always so scared to ask you to size them, so they just, like, pick every single bra size, and they're like, I'll just figure this out in the fitting room, but they pick a bunch of bras, and then they, like, get a hoodie to, like, cover the bra, so that, like, when they go to the fitting room, you don't know that they're trying on a bra, but yeah, it's, like, you're witnessing this very sensitive part of people's adolescence, of girls' adolescence. And I remember, I mean, like, when I tell people that I work at VS, the kind of stories that I would start hearing from women about, like, their first time getting sized, or their experience going to VS, and kind of, like, their feelings about that whole environment. It's, like, it's so sensitive. It, like, really, really does play a role in the female psyche, in being a woman and occupying a female body. And the sort of stories that we have about, like, how much I think being a woman and the sort of standard coming of age experiences in being a woman, how much of that is just paved with feeling humiliated, right? I had another conversation with a girl that I knew. She was telling me that the first time she got sized, her mom took her to a Victoria's Secret, had her get in the fitting room, and had her get completely naked, which is crazy. And then had the employee come in and size her, which I don't think we're allowed to do that, if I'm honest, if someone's completely naked. Had the employee size her, and she was like, it was crazy. It was so weird. She was so uncomfortable. She was like, you know, I can't go back to a VS after that. It's like just feeling, and you know, men, when boys are becoming men, they go fishing. They go play b-ball with their dad. They learn how to fix a truck. That's becoming a man. Becoming a woman, like, this is what this is. And like, it's so disheartening, you know? And so partially, I think also a lot of my motivation around working at VS was like, let me try and make like a little bit more of an enjoyable space, because it's so difficult. It's so difficult. So I can like alleviate that at all. Like, let me help. But it really does feel like I've likened it before sometimes of like, it's like finding out a little girl's, or like a, whatever, teen girl, preteen girl, her bra size. It feels like, you're like delivering her diagnosis, you know, like you're a doctor and you're like performing this medical analysis. And if she has a bigger chest, then you have experiences like that where you're dealing with like mother-daughter jealousy. Or, you know, if she has a smaller chest, then it feels a little bit more safe. And then, you know, sometimes you're doing these family therapy and you're talking to the family and you're saying like, hey, it's okay that your daughter has this bigger chest. She didn't do it to slight you. I don't really know what you're talking about right now. And so honestly, I've already been talking for too long, and I was just going into the like dealing with the younger girls part. But there's also like a whole other conversation to be had about the couples that come in and how peculiar they can be. So maybe that'll be tomorrow's video. I'm doing a June challenge, like a 75-hour challenge where I'm making myself post on YouTube every day. So, and I think this is day 4. Something, no, I don't know. Anyway, if you would like to if you want to go to Cabo with me, I'm going with World Packers. I'm teaming up to do an all-girls trip in September. And the link to join the WhatsApp group where you can start getting more information is going to be in the description box. But other than that, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we got to talk about this.